Ron's Plans tees, as you can see there, they're back like cook crack. I had so many people requesting the t-shirts that didn't get them the first time around. I decided to run them back. So the Ron's Plans t-shirts are back on the site. They are back available down in the description of this video and every video that I do. You will find a link to the print champs. There you can shop all Louie T merch. There you will find the Ron's Plans t-shirts back on the site, as well as the Mob Squad merch, hats, shirts. So go ahead, make sure that you're supporting the Louie T Network. That is the best way that you can support the brand, is by buying merch. And so show off and show out, okay? If you're going to a game, what better way to go to a game than rocking a Ron's Plan shirt or a Mob Squad shirt or a Mob Squad hat? So guys, cop the merch. Ron's Plan shirt is back like cook crack. Next bit of house cleaning. So Washington today released all of their various lists, and you get this at the very beginning of camp. You have guys that don't show up. You have guys that got cut / waived. You have guys that are on this list, on that list, on this list, on that list. So I'm going to bring all of that together for you here tonight and give you all of the different lists that exist and all of the players that are currently on those lists for the Washington football team. So the first big piece of news is the reserve COVID-19 list, okay? The reserved COVID-19 list that has one player on it, meaning that player either has COVID or was around someone in close contact with someone that had COVID, and that is tackle Cornelius Lucas. Now, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I don't know if you follow Cornelius Lucas on socials. I do not, but I follow someone that follows Cornelius Lucas on socials. So that's generally how I get all my information. I don't follow any of these players, more likely than not, maybe a couple of them, but I don't follow a lot of these guys. But I follow someone that does follow them. So when they get the information and they disseminate it, I get the information. So Cornelius Lucas recently just had his 30th birthday party, had a nice cake, a big $30 bill with his face on it. It was a cool cake. I gather, okay, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong here. You know what they say about making assumptions, but I'm assuming that's how his ass got COVID, or that's how he ended up in close contact with somebody that had COVID. He had a big ass party with a bunch of family and friends, because everybody thinks that COVID's over, that the pandemic is done and you can just go out and do whatever the hell you want to do all willy-nilly. And so that's probably how his ass got COVID. Anyway, that's none of my business. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday to Cornelius Lucas. Get well soon. He's on the reserve COVID-19 list to start camp. And the biggest takeaway from that is the fact that now that opens the door, even if it's ever so slight. That opens the door for a Samuel Cosme or a Sadiq Charles or anybody else that's looking to have an opportunity to start at tackle. That opens the door. If Cornelius Lucas was going to hold them off, the best way to do that is to not let them get any reps with the first team. Well, he started off camp on the wrong foot, and he's going to end up being in the same position he was in Chicago, on the bench behind Charles Leno Jr. Again, he had a chance to start. I'm not saying this is the end all be all. He may come back. Samuel Cosme may struggle early on in camp. As soon as Cornelius Lucas comes back, they insert him in the tackle and he hits the ground running. But if Samuel Cosme goes in there and he shows well and he shows up like, hey, coach, I'm back, they'll be like, okay, yeah, you stand on the side. We'll get you in with the second team. That could be the situation, and he may not get his spot back. You know, the NFL is all about opportunity. And if Samuel Cosme takes advantage of this opportunity, Cornelius Lucas could have made a big-time mistake having that party. And again, it may not be the party. I could be wrong, but I surmise, I'm drawing an inference here, that party was probably what did him in. Either way, I don't know how long he's going to be on this list, but that's how he's going to start out camp. The next big list is the Pup List. And you could argue that this is the biggest list. But the real question isn't, all right, who's on the PUP list is how long is this guy going to be on the PUP list? What is the severity of the injury that has this particular player on the PUP list? That's probably the bigger question, because anybody can start on the PUP list. You know, it's not mandatory that you stay on the PUP list until, 6 weeks into the season. So you could be on the PUP list today and be removed from it 3 days from now. However, we got 2 players on the PUP list. Physically unable to perform list for those of you keeping score at home. Okay. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel. I told y'all already, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. I ain't going to keep telling y'all the same shit over and over again. So he's on the PUP list. Remember, he had a groin injury at OTAs. He wasn't able to work. The first OTAs, he was out there running around. The second set of OTAs, he was not able to participate. He was off on the side field. Then he wasn't even at the practice field, and he was getting treatment. So it's lingering. Again, rather be safe than sorry. It's the preseason. It's camp. You're not worried about guys now. You're worried about them come September 12th. That's when it's important. So he's on the PUP list to start. Don't know the severity of the injury. That's, to me, the biggest question. We'll find that out, I guess, at a later date and time. And cornerback Greg Strowman. I didn't even know that Greg was still hanging on by a thread. He keeps holding on. I thought Greg was gone, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought Greg was gone, but I knew Greg was still here because somebody brought his name up when we talked about punt return. They said, hey, we still got Greg Strowman. I'm like, do we? I had to go check. And sure enough, Greg was still hanging on. But Greg starting out on the PUP list is not a good look for him. It's already a deep cornerback group as is. Greg's probably on the outside looking in anyway, probably not going to make the squad, but I don't like to discount anybody because, as we know, the summer is long, the summer is hot, and anything can happen, and it can open up an opportunity for another player. So Greg Strowman starts out on the PUP list. That is not a good look for a guy that was already on the outside looking in, heading into camp. The NFI list, which is non-football injury. We've got 2 NFI lists, okay? Non-football injury list, and then we've got non-football illness list. We'll start with the non-football injury list. This is the list I thought the Texans or the NFL was going to put Deshaun Watson on, which is the list that stops you from playing football, even though you don't have any football injury-related situations going on. You can't play football because something else other than an injury is stopping you from playing football. We've got 1 player on that list. That is Devereaux Lawrence. Now, you may remember Devereaux Lawrence from the Chase Young spoof video where he's running out to practice and he's mocking a guy. The guy that he's mocking is Devereaux Lawrence. A good day for practice. Come on, y'all, let's get it. That guy. That's Devereaux Lawrence. He's on the NFI list. Don't know why, but he is on the NFI list to start. Non-football injury list. Now, the non-football illness list, which is something totally different. We got 2 players on that list, safety DeShazer Everett and defensive tackle Tim Settle. What this list says to me, the non-football illness list says, hey, I don't have COVID, but I got some shit going on. And coaching staff is like, okay, keep your ass at home. Okay, till you're fine, you're healthy. How about this? We'll just go with the COVID restrictions methodology. You just stay away from us for about a good 10 days, and then we'll go from there. When were you having the symptoms? You said you started having this 4 days ago. Stay home another 6 days, and then you can come to practice. So that's what that sounds like to me. They could have a cold. They could have a fever or whatever the case may be. We had this discussion when I had lost my voice temporarily. Like, it sucks to be sick in the summertime. I wasn't sick, but it sucks to be sick or have a cold in the summertime. Sounds like those guys got some things going on, and they're like, hey, better safe than sorry. You stay away from the team. When you feel better, that's when you come to work. The next list is reserved, did not report list. So translation, these are the guys that are either just slightly tardy, okay? Maybe they showed up late, but more likely than not, these are the guys that are going to ultimately tell the coaching staff, hey, I quit. I retired. Or they're just not going to show up at all, and you just surmise that they quit and retired. Tight end Tyrone Swoops, if you remember him from his Texas days as a quarterback that just ran the football essentially, and he transitioned to a tight end at the NFL level. never has really caught on with any team. He did not report, and guard Najee Torin did not report. More likely than not, these guys probably at the end of their NFL careers, in their minds, they don't want to continue the grind of trying to make a squad, and they're ready to quit and move on with their lives. That's what you get a lot of times this time of the year when you get guys on the did not report or do not report list. Those guys generally have came to the realization that this shit is over. I'm done. I'm not going to keep doing this. And neither one of those guys are going to make the team. Try as hard as they might. The best that either one of them could have done is the practice squad. And even that is probably a long shot for both of those guys. And they probably realize that. Not to shit on anybody's dream. You know, I told you, I'm no dream killer. So they decided not to show up. Maybe they'll show up tomorrow. More likely than not, neither one of them are going to show up. Because if you're trying to make a team, trust me, this takes priority over most things in your life. Outside of you having a baby or someone is sick and you got family issues, yeah, those things happen too. Life happens. But if you're trying to make a football team and you're Tyrone Swoops, you know, a guy that's a long shot to begin with, or Najee Torin, you're going to show up on time. So they didn't. That tells me that they're probably done with football. Then you have these final two lists. Waived injured list. That's defensive end Jalen Jelks. So he was probably injured when he reported, and they're like, okay, dude, don't worry about it. We're going to go ahead, waive you with an injury settlement, give you a couple of bucks on your way out, and you keep it pushing. And then you're just waived tight end Dion Yelder. Okay, you come to camp, they're like, you know what, dude, we appreciate you, all you did in OTAs. We're going to go in a different direction, though. Thanks for coming. So those are your lists. Those are the players on those respective lists. Got a super chat from Condoleezza Perry, my girl Condo Perry, my girl Condo P. Writes, kind of surprised Landon Collins will start training camp on the active roster and not the pup list. Makes the safety battle very interesting. And I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to bring that up when I finished all of these lists. I was supposed to finish that by saying, you know what name was conveniently omitted off of this list and maybe even surprisingly to a degree? Landon Collins. So Landon Collins not being on this list was a surprise to me, but it wasn't when I kind of play back all of the things I've been seeing from him on socials. Every post of him on socials is of him running, cutting, jumping at the rate of speed and at the level that you expect for someone to be ready at the start of training camp. He said, and you don't usually hear this from guys who aren't sure. Like Saquon Barkley was like, yo, I'm gonna listen to my body. When you hear that, oh nah, you ain't getting no camp, you ain't getting no preseason, you ain't getting none of that. When you hear guys say, yeah, I'm gonna listen to my body, that means I'm taking it nice and slow. You didn't hear that from Landon Collins. He said the goal is to be ready for camp. That's what he said. And I believed him when he said it because every video that he posted of him working out was of him running, jumping, and cutting and stopping and planting and driving on that leg. So I'm like, it looks good. So I'm not surprised. Just a wee bit, but not really. But as you said, Kondo, it does make the safety battle very interesting. I don't think there's really a battle at strong safety. I think the real competition is at free safety. What are they going to do there? And because I think they're going to find ways to get all these guys on the field. Cam Curl and Landon Collins and Shays or Jeremy Reeves, whomever. They're going to find ways to get, three safeties on the field. That big nickel we talked about, whether it's Khaleke Hudson playing that big nickel or it's Cam Curl playing that big nickel, even Landon Collins may be getting a piece of that action in that big nickel from time to time. They're going to find ways to get those guys on the field. So we'll see what happens. I think there are going to be a lot of interesting developments and battles throughout camp. And safety may be one of them. That is for sure.
LouieTeeNetwork.